to play it. So it looks like he is opting for that Power Stone shard. I don't think he ended up with too high of an artifact count, but it's possible that it is actually pretty good in Alex's deck. Welcome back to the booth, Luis.
Hello, hello. I see we're drudging up the Sentinels
here. Yes, we
here.
are drudging up the Sentinels. Paul was just saying that we're seeing if there's a competition to see everybody put the last couple picks in their decks into the pack. So Alex is playing 2 Power Stone shards, Luis, and he's playing the Mishra's Replicator too.
Oh, so Alex ended up black-red.
Yes.
After all that.
Yes. Well, it was funny because I started telling Paul about it, and I'm like, wait, black-red? So we know that he did want to play black because of the Demon Lord Belzenlock, but he took so many green cards, so...
Alex ended up black-red splashing to the 2 Mammoth Spiders in the Saproling migration.
The Mammoth Spiders?
All right. So, and then, you predicted a 6/6/6 mana base jokingly for Hao Shuang Huang. He ended up with a gentleman's 4/7/6.
Yeah. And you made fun of me.
Oh, there's a Compass too.
Oh, there's the Garna for
Well,
Hao Shuang Huang.
Look, sometimes you got to get scrappy, right? Sometimes you end up.
There's no scrappy scroungers in play. What are
well, no, that was yesterday. That was modern. So sometimes you just got to run 4/7/6 or run your Power Stone shards and your Splash Mammoth Spiders and kind of hope you draw the more powerful half of your deck.
Ooh, so for 5 mana, we have Yawgmoth's Vile Offering.
All right. Well,
Looks like our target is Whisper.
And it's safest to snipe the Self-Replicator, but if you think Alex doesn't have ways to trigger it, you could just kill the Windgrace.
Looks like Huang is going for the safe play, killing the Self-Replicator, and Huang also gets the Whisper. And this is what you were saying. Sometimes casting these legendary sorceries is difficult, but once they're actually resolved, you're winning the game.
Yeah, and Hao Shuang Huang is just crushing Hain now, thanks to just high card quality and a Drudge Sentinel. And even trading off the Windgrace
Windgrace Acolyte getting in front of the Garna
isn't going to work out all that well because Huang has a Whisper in play, and the interaction between Whisper and Garna is really strong. So, for example, Huang could tap Whisper. Don't want to sacrifice Whisper because it'll go back to Hain's graveyard, but tap Whisper, sacrifice 2 other creatures, get back Garna. Garna triggers, those 2 creatures then return to your hand.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
So, for Hain to make this block, I would expect that he has removal for Whisper, or at least is hoping to draw it.
Well, he is certainly trying to loot into it. So the Overseer discarding a land. He has another land for the turn, but nothing else. He maybe has that removal in hand.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Oh, and Huang has a pretty stacked hand with Blessed Light and Evra, just waiting to find a good target for Light. Might even be the Keldon Raider there. And Evra is just another big threat.
Yeah, so Evra adding onto an already prominent board. So Alex is going to need something big, and this is a 6-drop. It's Demon Lord Belzenlock.
All right, well, that does fit the bill.
All right, let's see what the hit is. It's a Skittering Surveyor.
Not the most exciting demonic lore there.
No.
And of course, Alex would have really rather hit like a 4-drop or 2 before hitting that Skittering Surveyor, because then the Demon Lord would keep going. I do think Huang is still very far ahead here. Blessed Light is flavorfully going to get rid of that Demon Lord Belzenlock, allowing Huang to attack with at the very least Evra, but potentially more if he wants to set up a Garna.
Yeah, and as you said, quite flavorful. Not the light. All right, Demon Lord Belzenlock is very dead. Exiling matters too, not that as much in this game in particular, but Alex does have that Whisper, so getting back the Demon Lord is a very realistic thing for him to do.
Evra attacking in, and if Alex blocks, he can make the trade. but then Huang can then tap Whisper, sacrifice the other 2 creatures, get everything back with Garna. Alex is going to need he's going to need a couple things to really get back into this game. And the problem is with a Whisper untapped and ready to go, even the first removal spell for Whisper is not going to be very effective because Whisper then sacrifices herself plus one of the other 2 creatures, gets back Garna, gets back that other creature. Whisper stays dead, but Alex is facing down now a Garna instead with like a Dredge Sentinel in-house hand ready to go.
All right, so green, and how much green did Alex end up playing? You said 2 Mammoth Spiders, and there you go. So 4 Saprolings for Alex.
Which would look pretty good if he had a Whisper in play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Alex has some nice ones to get back from the graveyard. Like Windgrace Acolyte is ready to come into play. Mishra Self-Replicator. So how many artifacts did Alex end up with?
So Alex ended up with 2 Power Stone Shards and a Skittering Surveyor alongside the Replicator, plus the historic cards of Demon Lord Belzenlock, Whisper, and I think that is actually it. So Alex is actually running a little short on historic cards as well.
All right, Evra getting in there. Alex is going to put the Overseer, or the Raider, excuse me, in front of it.
And now we're going to see this Garna interaction come up, if that's what Huang wants to do, but it seems pretty profitable to start getting that going.
Yeah, it sure is. Sacrificing those other 2. Getting back Garna. Garna triggers. And all of these come back to Huang's hand. That was so powerful.
Yeah, that was sick. And then Huang deciding whether he wants to deploy his 2 3-drops or his 6-drop, and it kind of doesn't matter which order. If the Garna survives, they'll all have haste anyway.
Yeah, follow-up of Evra. That was a really good turn for him. Also, he's at 32 life, by the way.
Maybe he just wants to make Evra really big when he switches power and toughness.
Oh, kicked Fight with Fire.
All right, this is one of the ways
we're back in this.
He can get back into this. That's 10 damage, killing Garna, killing Evra, killing Whisper, and just for good measure, getting Huang for a point too.
Does Alex have many ways to recur that Whisper now that it's back in his yard?
He has a Soul Salvage, and he is playing it, so he would really like to see Soul Salvage.
That would be really nice.
He also has the infinite, quote, loop of Soul Salvage, get back Gitu Chronicler, plus another creature, and then you can Gitu Chronicler kick,
for the
get
Soul
back Soul
Salvage?
Salvage.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, if that other creature's Whisper, then you can tap Whisper, sacrifice Gitu Chronicler and something else, get back another creature, and then Soul Salvage and just keep going, rinse and repeat.
Whisper's a really it's a really good card that has gone up so much for me, because I think when I first saw it, I was like, but you're sacking 2 creatures, and then you realize that Saprolings are really, really common in this set, and it's the cost of sacrificing Saprolings is really low, and if you have really good cards in your deck, suddenly it's really good, and we're seeing Garna and Whisper do solid work today.
Yeah, Whisper has a lot of synergies, and you slot Whisper into a random set, she might not do that much. In this set, she does a lot of work. All right, the tide is completely turned. Luckily for Huang, he's still in this game. Usually when a kicked Fight with Fire happens, that's the last spell put on the stack.
Well, he got so many cards back thanks to that Garna.
And Alex had to kind of walk into that to set up that Fight with Fire. He just needed to get Whisper tapped in order to enable Fight with Fire actually wiping the board. But Alex has gone through a lot of his really powerful cards. Self-Replicator, Demon Lord Belzenlock, Fight with Fire, Whisper. So,
in some ways that's kind of sweet, because if the Soul Savage comes around, he just gets to draw some of his best cards. The Demon Lord Belzenlock is out of commission, but there's so many good cards in the graveyard.
Yeah, Soul Savage would be still a great draw. And is this it?
Is this it? It is.
It is.
Yes.
All right, Whisper Chronicler. Yeah, that's perfect.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Alex's deck is just going over the top. Huang had a really powerful set of plays this game. Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, get your Whisper, sack 2 of my creatures, get back Garna, get back those 2 creatures, plus the creature traded off. And Alex is still just overwhelming him with, all these really, really strong plays.
That's why I really like cards like Soul Salvage, because sometimes you get to this point of the game and that's just backbreaking.
Yeah, it's not just a divination. It draws you 2 of your best spells
cards,
that you've already drawn this game.
Alex sitting at 8 life, but Hao Shan does not have a way to get through these blockers currently.
Yeah.
Kenneth is usually a good attacker, not against a bunch of Saprolings.
No, the Saprolings can combine to take her down. Huang could attack with Dredge Sentinel, but I wouldn't be shocked if Alex just put one Saproling in front of it, forcing Huang to either pay 3 to make it indestructible or trade it off. And Huang's got better plans for his mana.
Yeah, that's not a very profitable attack. Okay, so Tiana is the follow-up.
And that at the very least is a flyer, but I just saw Shivan Fire in Hane's hand. Plus, both players know that a Kick to Gitu Chronicler getting back Fight with Fire is on the horizon.
Yeah.
And that second Fight with Fire should
it's coming
just
next
about
turn,
seal things up. Thing is, Alex's life total is not even under that much pressure because if he needs to, he can just sack 2 Saprolings and get back something like Windgrace Acolyte. Oh, Alex is just going for the full infinite.
Yeah, no, I love it. So the Kick to Gitu Chronicler gets back the Soul Salvage. And now Alex also has ways of sacrificing things. Yes. To the Whisper to reanimate.
He's deciding between the Self-Replicator and the Windgrace Acolyte here.
Kind of depends on his hand.
Yeah, with no historic spells on the horizon.
Yeah, he's getting the Replicator, though.
He's getting the Replicator.
Wow, I'm really liking Alex's pick of Gitu Chronicler at that point in the draft now. It's looking awesome.
It has worked out way better. And I guess the Soul Salvage getting back the Surveyor does mean that Replicator is going to start replicating soon. Alex just has to make sure not to die to Tiana flying over for 3 a turn, but he's pretty far away from that. Alex essentially going infinite here.
So if you're Hao, do you have outs to this?
Well, you can kill...
Because you know that you can see the clock ticking. It's coming.
The problem is if you kill Whisper, Alex still just goes Chronicler back Soul Salvage back Whisper. And if you kill Chronicler, that doesn't help either. Oh, this is a way out.
There you go. That is just a Doomblade. That Seal is going to take care of Whisper.
It's better than Doomblade. It exiles.
Ooh, and Invoke the Divine takes care of the Mishra Self-Replicator.
Ooh, and a Navigator's Compass gains Hao Shuang 3 life. Well, that was a really good turn for Huang.
That was an amazing turn for him.
I still think Alex is pretty far ahead, though, because...
Well, we know he can just keep looping the things in his hands, like, over and over.
Without Whisper, he doesn't have a way to get the Chronicler into the graveyard to get back with Soul Salvage, but Alex can also stop his loop by just getting back Fight with Fire at some point, and then ending up, breaking up the Soul Salvage Chronicler loop, but in doing so, killing all of Huang's board.
Mm-hmm. So the Shivan Fire is going to take down the Tiana. And let's see for another 3. Skittering Surveyor.
Plus, we also know that Alex has multiple Mana Spiders. If you were to draw one of those, it would lock up the board pretty effectively as well.
2, I believe, right?
To be fair, the only source of information you have on that is what I told you.
I can look at the deck list. Give me.
But I would definitely not lie for no benefit.
Oh, wow. What do you know? He is playing 2 Mammoth Spider.
See, I told you.
Shocker.
Ooh, Huang's got a haphazard bombardment in hand. The problem for Huang is none of Alex's permanents are actually good. Alex's power is in the spells in his hand, not the actual permanents in play.
Well, Orgoro's coming down for Hao.
Off of that Compass. That Compass actually did something there.
Yeah. It really did. Well, we do know he actually needs the Compass in his deck because his mana base is not great. Oh, Warlord's Fury? All right.
Well, all of Alex's creatures have first strike now.
Does get to draw a card out of that.
It does. That Seal Away did a lot of work. And then the Urgro's follow-up means that Alex is actually under pressure where he can't just sit around casting Soul Salvages because at some point Urgros is going to take a card at random from his hand.
So if you're Alex, what are your best options to deal with this Urgoros?
He can cast a kicked Gitu Chronicler and just get back Fight with Fire and cast an unkicked Fight with Fire, but you put yourself in a position where it might be hard to close out the game if you use Fight with Fire in that manner.
I mean, he has gone through most of his good cards.
You can also cast Chronicler, get back Fight with Fire, and just hope to not hit the, hit the 2 and 3, or not hit the 1 and 3 to lose the Fight with Fire. But then you're also taking 4 from Urgoros, and you die to any equipment. Because remember, Hao is playing an aggressive white deck, or a semi-aggressive Mardu deck.
Yeah.
He's got some cards that can attack, and Hayne might be worried about that sort of thing.
There's Pump Cells too, Adamant Wills and stuff.
All right, so Hayne's settling for the 1 and 3 here. There's a 2 and 3 chance that Huang misses Fight with Fire, and a 1 in 3 chance that Huang hits the Fight with Fire, and this game is going to hinge on that. So this is...
Yeah, so it's getting in.
All right, this is a nice roll to die.
Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's the first one.
And there's the Fight with Fire.
Fight with Fire.
Oof.
That hurt.
It's going to make things really difficult for Hayne. He could draw Mammoth Spider.
He also has another Shivan Fire.
He has another Shivan Fire in his deck, and he could draw Mammoth Spider, X2. But it's gonna mean that how's Hayne closing out this game? He didn't play Grun the Lonely King because he's only splashing green. He's already used his Demon Lord Belzenluck. His Soul Salvage chain got broken up by the threat of Urgoros and the seal away on Whisper.
I did like Alex's play of wanting to get the 3 for 1. Obviously, this is working. This is the worst of all scenarios, but
yeah, this did not work out well for him.
Haphazard Bombardment.
All right, we're gonna roll some more dice. Haphazard Bombardment now.
Look, it's Las Vegas. This is nice and thematic. So it looks like he's gonna go after the forest. So the 2 green sources, and then the 2 wizards. Wow, and Alex picks up his cards. And Hao Shenghuan takes the first game here in round 10 at GP Las Vegas. It looked like Alex was so far ahead for a minute there.
Yeah, I thought Alex could, almost couldn't lose when he had the Soul Salvage, Whisper, Chronicler, Fight with Fire loop going.
Yeah.
But it just turned out that the Urgoros kind of took Alex by surprise, and things did not work out for him.
I mean, Urgoros is quite good. Do you think there's anything Alex could have done down the line there to not end up in this fate?
He could have fired off the Fight with Fire and not waited to kick it. By waiting to kick it, he essentially wanted to kill Danitha.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't really going to kill the Drudge Sentinel anyway, so that may not have been worth it. On the other hand, I don't know if he has a good enough ways to close. It's going to be tough. There was also a turn where he chroniclered back Soul Salvage instead of Fight with Fire to get additional value. Had he just chroniclered back the Fight with Fire when Huang tapped out for Urgoros, Alex would have been able to kick Fight with Fire.
That's true.
So again, this is looking back at what happened, not necessarily what Alex should have done, but given the way things did play out, those may have been more profitable.
Can you give us a rundown of where Hao's deck ended up after draft, since we were not super sure which direction he was going to go?
He went stronger in black-white with 7 plains and 6 swamps, but he still has a lot of red cards. He's got 4 mountains. He's got, the Chronicler, which is double red, Haphazard Bombardment, and then the 2 Garnas and the Tiana, so 3 red legends. Legends are really important to Huang's deck because he has Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, which does require a legend in play to be cast.
Any good sideboard cards? I know sideboarding is a lot. It's not that it's less important in Limited, but it does matter. Like what you picked up in draft, you don't always just have a ton of options. Like, and you do in Constructed, you always just have a lot of things to sideboard.
Huang does get to bring in a second Invoke the Divine. He's not guaranteed to do so, but he did see Power Stone Shard and Mishra's Self-Replicator. That usually indicates Invoke the Divine's going to be decent.
Sure.
Alex
he could pick up 2. Do you think he's bringing 2?
Well, he has one in the main. I wouldn't be surprised if both were in the deck post-board. Alex could actually board in a slightly heavier green component if he thinks Huang's deck is slow enough.
Huang has taken a mulligan. He also scryed to the bottom.
Also, Alex chose to draw first, which, given the way the matchup played out game 1, makes a lot of sense.
And I think Huang has no black sources. Oh, no, but there's a compass.
No, he's covered. Navigator's Compass gets him right there.
All right, Skittering Surveyor. What a way to fix your mana.
Oh yes, the Surveyor is quite a bit stronger, but you can't always get Surveyor, so but you have to make do with what you got.
Blessed Light is the draw for Huang. He has no follow-up play, so just pass back to Alex.
Yeah, and this is an example of the Compass fixing his colored mana sources, but he doesn't have a fourth land to cast the Aven Sentry, for example.
Ooh, look, Navigator's Compass starting to do some work. Filtering for black to Vicious Offering the Journey Mage.
Well, Alex got to trade a G2 Journey Mage, which is not very good, for a Vicious Offering, which is quite good, so that worked out nicely.
How about a Mammoth Spider?
How about it? This is going to pressure Huang, which is not usually the job of the Mammoth Spider, but it may get there here.
Yeah, he has another Vicious Offering, but with no creature to sack, and I guess it can't even kill the spider, huh? No, it's 5, yeah.
Huang could run out a G2 Chronicler, thanks to the Compass, and then set up maybe an offering next turn, but I think he's going to go for a more value-oriented approach and just take some damage here, but hope to draw out of it.
Oh. All right, so we have a spider infestation.
Yeah, but these spiders are gigantic.
Yes.
These aren't spiders hiding in a bunch of bananas.
No. Wow, we're getting to a kind of desperate point. Invoke the Divine on the Skittering Surveyor.
That is not what you bring in Invoke the Divine to do.
No, definitely not. I mean, especially given that you saw the Self-Replicator from Hain.
But Huang is just so far behind that the extra 4 life and removing the 1/2 from the board is worth his card, even though that's not really what you want to be doing.
So Spider's getting in once more.
And there we go.
Self-Replicator and no removal spell for that Self-Replicator now that Invoke the Divine was used.
I wouldn't be surprised if Huang had to use Vicious Offering on the Replicator, but that just means Alex is going to hit him for 6 more with the spiders, and it takes up Huang's turn here.
Well, his plays are limited because he is mana screwed right now. He both doesn't have a ton of lands and he's color screwed.
Well, the Compass does help a lot on that axis, but it does not help him get to 5 lands to cast his powerful 5 mana spells.
He is just going to fire off the Vicious Offering on the Self-Replicator.
That thing has not replicated very much. It's been in play a bunch of times.
That's the thing I don't like about this card is that you put it in play and you're so ready and you have all your artifacts that you're ready to deploy, and then they just kill it immediately. I feel like it just always eats removal.
Yeah, it's a 5 mana 2/2 that you have to untap with, and when you untap with it, you have to have a spell to play afterwards. That said, if you replicate it once, your opponent can be in a lot of trouble.
So Soul Salvage, getting back the Surveyor and the Journey Mage, and I think Alex is just done with a Self-Replicator.
Yeah, he is not planning on replicating this game. These spiders, normally a defensive tool, are...
Oh, yeah, these have been the beatdown plan.
I was going to say making short work of Huang, but they're making medium work of Huang. He's got a lot of time here, even though he is losing to them.
So what's the Extermination card Huang wants to draw?
If he had enough time, he'd want to play a Legend and then use the Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, and that might get him out of this, but... Oh, that's step 1.
All right, Whisper is not bad. It's not blocking, though. And Huang is at 9.
So this can keep the Surveyor back. Alex hits Huang for 6 down to 3. If Huang can then draw a land, cast Vile Offering, put a Replicator into play, kill a Spider, he's setting something up, but I don't think that's going to be enough this game.
Oh, that's going to take care of Whisper. Fiery Intervention, attack with everybody. Also a Goblin for good measure, and that's enough. And so Alex is going to even things out here in round 10 at GP Vegas. We're going to see game 3.
A little less exciting of a game. Huang mostly just unable to cast his spells.
I think the first game was really emblematic of why Dominaria draft is really fun. Like, there were a lot of moving pieces. There were a lot of splashing going on. A lot of recursion. Like, that's a big theme in Dominaria.
There's a lot of powerful loops that game. Like, Huang cast Vile Offering, getting back Whisper, then sacked 2 creatures to get back Garna, which then got back those 2 creatures, plus the creature he traded off. Hain had G2 Chronicler, Soul Salvage, his own Whisper, with the same one that came back to him.
Yeah.
And was looping Fight with Fire. Yet, in the end, both of these recursion engines gave both players a huge advantage, but the hit from Urgoros hit the 1 and 3, hit the fight with fire, and that actually carried Huang through to victory. Both players seeing if, maybe they missed anything after getting a little bit more information here. Get to sideboard again.
Where do you put Dominaria in terms of draft formats that you like drafting?
I think that my favorite draft format is triple beta. 'Cause that's the one I'm looking forward to most.
You have revised this statement since I last asked you this.
No,
What is your actual favorite draft format?
So it depends if you count Cube. Because if you count Cube, Vintage Cube.
Let's not count
Vintage Cube is my favorite draft format of all time.
No, I think you have to keep them separate because I do think that if you talk, and I would agree because I think Cube is my favorite thing to do in Magic. Period.
Mine is beta draft.
Oh, how many times have you done it?
None, but I'm going to do it once.
So counting Cube out.
Counting Cube out, if you look at just like sets that were released, I think that the format I've enjoyed the most overall is probably, it might actually be Triple Cons.
I love Triple Cons.
I really like
awesome.
drafting cons. There's a lot of really, really sweet things you could do.
I was sad because here at the GP there was a side event. It was there's a side events that they do called History of Draft, and they make a draft set from sets back, and they'll make you draft it at that point in time. So it won't just be like Triple Cons. It could be like cons, Fate Reforged, and so I was so sad because the one that they had here was cons Fate Reforged, and I love Triple Cons so much.
I did like Fate Reforged, but yes, Triple Cons was better.
I was not that big of a fan. I also love Dragon's Attack here, and I just did not really like Fate Reforged too much.
Yeah, the History of Draft events are really cool. There's a million things to do at a Grand Prix.
If I weren't playing in the beta draft, I guess I would do the other ones.
It's more like if I weren't doing coverage, which would make your life easier as well.
Yeah, that's true. Why are we doing this again?
Oh, Hao Shuang Huang starting with another mulligan here.
Yeah, he took a mulligan last game too. And Scry to the bottom, he had enough lands, he just didn't have any black sources, and the Compass helped him a little bit, but he was very far behind all game.
I'm going to count that game against the Compass, not for it, because he just had 4 and 5 mana spells he couldn't cast.
Wait, you're counting it for it?
I said against the Compass.
Why?
Because it was a card that didn't affect the board and did not help him cast his more expensive spells.
Sure.
I think it was, in this case, worse than a random basic land.
If you're comparing it to a land, it could have been any spell. Do you think he's counting as a land?
I think he's counting it as a mana source. Or a card that helps him cast his spells. It has no other effect.
Sure. Right, I mean, I guess if you're comparing it to like a Grow from the Ashes, it doesn't...
Right. And here Huang mulligan and has a Compass, and so far it is not having an effect. I'm not saying Compass is straight unplayable. I'm definitely not saying that.
I'm not trying to nitpick that. I was just trying to understand why you were counting it against it, because I actually felt like it tried to help him cast some of his cards, even though obviously that didn't...
Well, as a mana source, it was worse than any other mana source in his deck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is where I'm coming from. On the other hand, it's looking fine just here because Huang just has good 2-drop into good 3-drop.
All right, so Alex with a Windgrace Acolyte, and Huang has a good start. Benalish Honor Guard into Danitha, and even pump the Honor Guard. That's not too shabby.
And Alex might be in a position where he's going to trade his 5-drop for a 2-drop. Ooh, does Huang not even want to offer the trade? He's definitely attacking with Danitha. I mean, she does have first strike, but that the Honor Guard might not be getting in.
Oh, I think he is not offering the trade indeed. Just Danitha's getting in.
Interesting. So if you're Hayne, what are you thinking when that happens? You're like, he's got to have a removal spell in hand. Huang has a removal spell in hand that he can't cast quite yet, and he wants to wait and remove
the creatures in play.
And he'd rather keep his creatures in play.
So in the face of that, yeah, you attack, right?
It depends on what your follow-up play is here, but I do like attacking here.
So we're going to go land Demon Lord Belzenlok.
I like this play, too. This is a really good play.
So Mammoth Spider's a big one, so
and
then he gets to keep rolling.
Number
two.
Number three.
Okay, that one's small enough, so he gets to keep that one.
And I think at that point, you actually don't want to keep going. Like, you'd rather stop like at 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to draw
he's going to
10
be
cards off
taking 3
it.
damage from this, but that was a good card draw. I mean, we saw this happen on game 1, and Alex drew just a Surveyor.
Oh, wow, that Demon Lord looking good. Power Stone Shard doing a lot of work this game, casting turn 4 Windgrace, turn 5 Demon Lord Bells Unlock.
Demon Lord Bells Unlock, presumably mad about getting Blessed Lighted.
Oh, man. That Invoke the Divine that Huang cast, little late there.
Little too late.
Alex, I think, already got some good uses out of it, and I understand Huang's reticence to want to use it on just a Power Stone Shard, but after seeing Demon Lord get cast, he's probably rethinking his choices there.
I mean, I like that he didn't double down on it. If he feels like he does need to remove it, he did it anyway, even though it technically could have stopped Alex from casting the Demon Lord. Yeah, these Invoke the Divines are not targeting the things that I think Huang would like them to.
Yeah, this is just this match has been kind of a case, at least in games 2 and 3, of Huang's cards not lining up the way he would want them to.
Oh, look, Power Stone Shard number 2. I guess they don't get the benefit of both being each other.
Yeah, Alex could really been going off.
Skittering Surveyor to get us the mountain.
And Huang on Blessed Light in hand, 3 lands and a compass. Quite far away from casting that Blessed Light.
Windgrace Acolyte's going to get in for 3. Huang had a cushy life total, but Demon Lord Bells Unlock is big.
And Huang, every turn, is doing nothing. Every turn, Alex casting
he's
2
just
spells.
passing. This is the second time he's done that.
Like, at this point, even if Huang were able to kill Demon Lord Bells Unlock, I don't think it would matter. He has just got 7 spells in hand and is casting 2 a turn. Including a Shivan Fire, like, yeah, Alex is just running
He's
away with
really
this game.
far ahead. Wow, Huang's mana situation, both game 2 and 3, has just not been ideal. All right. Barrel Abomination.
Well, when one player is casting a bunch of 6 drops and the other player is doing nothing.
Well, he does find his land for the turn, but still nothing? Did he just pass?
Wow.
Wow, rough.
Might see a Vicious
And
Offering here.
Shivan Fire to take care of the Danathal. So if he wants to fire it off, this is his chance.
Yeah, if Huang has Vicious Offering, this is the perfect opportunity to take out, like, the Feral Abomination.
Yeah, that is. Oh, it's an Adamant Will.
All right. And I think the game has turned to the point where Alex might be able to start just attacking with Demon Lord,
Yeah,
potentially
now
Windgrace.
he has the Abomination on the ground.
We might actually see everything turn sideways. Well, maybe not the Surveyor, but everything else.
Yeah, Alex has just
It's not like Alex is even
his
close
eyes
to
are set
dying.
on this Danathal. He is ready to kill her. And a cast down. Yeah, he's just firing everything off, and he wants to close the door on this game. Attack with everybody. A seal away for the Demon Lord Bells Unlock. He's still taking so much damage.
And it was a good read by Alex, not attacking with Demon Lord for multiple turns out of
Yeah.
fear of Seal Away.
Well, Hal was patient with that because the Windgrace Acolyte kept attacking, never actually targeted.
And that was good play from Haoshuan Huang, but I don't think that it's going to be enough. You remember, Alex still has Dark Bargain in hand. At some point, if Alex needs to refill, he can just cast Dark Bargain.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got like Fight with Fire in his
He
deck.
just drew so much value from the Demon Lord. It was great. Feral Abomination, Skittering Surveyor, and Windgrace Acolyte also getting in. Okay, the Blessed Light takes care of the Abomination. These Blessed Lights have been very flavorful.
Yeah, they've been
Yeah.
killing all sorts of demons and abominations. And there we are, the
That's a really nice
splashed mammoth
follow-up.
spider.
Wow.
And Huang getting to the point where he's casting removal, but one removal spell a turn is really
Yeah,
not
well,
going to do
Alex is
it.
playing multiple creatures a turn, and they're not little creatures. They are enormous.
Yeah, look at that massive Bloodstone Goblin.
Just wait until he kicks something.
Yeah, there
you
we go. There we go. Kicked Saproling Migration means that the Goblin is a 3/3 and it has Menace. here comes Garna.
Oh, the saddest Garna in the world. Yes, and Alex Hayne takes this round 10 here at Grand Prix Las Vegas. Really unfortunate game, second and third game for Huang. He had a lot of mana issues. We had a really fantastic game one. The next two, not quite as good. But that can happen when your mana base looked like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was... I think both decks are not quite where the players would be happy with them. Like,
Yeah.
They both have a bunch of powerful cards, and I think that they still have a shot here in the rest of the draft. But this isn't one of the drafts where you finish the draft and you're like, we did it. I am getting there.
Yeah, no, it was definitely difficult. And we saw even from playing the compasses and the way the mana bases ended up, it's just not really where you want to be. But the decks are powerful. They're doing powerful things. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We have more Magic coming your way after these messages. Welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Las Vegas. Gabby Sports, joined by Luis Scott Vargas, and we are still here in round 10. We still have draft action for you. We just got to watch, we're going to get to watch, JT Booth versus Shahar Shanhar. And Luis, you have their deck list. You have, what are they playing?
So in a departure from what we just saw, we've got some mana bases that are like 8 plains, 8 swamps. 7-4, 7 islands.
7-1, 8-8.
Swamp and a hinterland harbor for Shahar. But these deck lists look a little more on the rails than what we saw. So, we're going to see a slightly different match. But either way, I like the range of Dominaria Limited, and that's part of what is fun about it.
We did get to see Shahar draft one of the decks. He ended up with a nice blue-green deck.
Yeah, he's got a Tatiova Benthic Druid kind of headlining that.
He got past that pretty late.
Yeah, it's a good reason to be blue-green for sure. Ooh, with 2 elves and a Growth from the Ashes. So Shahar's deck is looking pretty nice. Splashing his first pick, the Eldest Reborn. Ooh, with a Zahid, Jinn of the Lamp, ready to roll too. On the other side of the table, we've got JT Booth playing black-white, aggressive deck with a multiple Call of the Cavalry, Benalish Honor Guard, Adamant Will, Charge. Like, when the white deck plays Charge,
Whoa.
you know they mean it.
Oh, yeah, they came to game.
3 copies of Aether Glider, which are going to come in handy this game because JT Booth doesn't have any planes.
So 1-3 versus 1-3. We have the Arcanist from Shahar, and we have the Skin Witch from JT, so we will not be seeing any attacks.
I'd much rather be on the Shahar side of things.
Oh, yeah.
Just in general, like, in any circumstances, but especially when you're 1-3 taps for mana and theirs just doesn't have any abilities.
I'm a fan of kicking witches.
Well, that's how you get cursed.
Howling Golem for Shahar.
I wonder what which Pat Cox kicked to lose his last round of every tournament he plays.
He has lost every last round of the last, 5 tournaments he's played.
Yeah, for those
so
who
it was like playing for day 2 of the limited Grand Prix, playing for day 2 of the modern Grand Prix. Then before that, it was you guys for the top 8 of GP DC.
Yep, losing to Shahar Shanhar, in fact.
Yes. And then right before that was the RPTQ?
Yeah, he lost. So basically, what we're talking about is Pat Cox, a former Gold Pro. He was Gold Pro for 7 years.
Former Gold Pro.
and a really close friend of mine. His trials and tribulations of qualifying for the Pro Tour have been a kind of funny, albeit a little sad thread of near misses. So, yeah, it's hard to qualify for the Pro Tour. Meanwhile, we got some action here.
Yeah, we do. We have the Howling Golem, which was not long for this world. The Vicious Offering takes it down, and Shahar's going to follow up with a Divination. Land and go.
I like Shahar's side of the board.
JT has just drawn a white land.
All right.
Booth following up with a glider.
And Shahar's got a more powerful deck. He's got a lot more powerful things going on. So getting to this stage of the game while still at 20 life and under very little pressure is a good sign for Shahar. Less good of a sign for JT Booth.
So a kicked Kavu from Shahar. Where are you on the... Is it reasonable to play it on 2? Do you always want to kick it?
It's the sort of card which I would prefer to not play on turn 2, much like that Caligo Skin Witch. So I think that you only play it on turn 2 if you're in desperate straits, whereas the Skin Witch on turn 2 from JT did exemplify that. He didn't have a whole lot going on.
It was a defensive Skin Witch.
Meanwhile, JT passing with all his mana untapped, and I think his plan may be to block the Kavu with Skin Witch, and then Gideon's Reproach the Kavu to take it down. Not the 2-for-1 Skin Witch wants to be involved in, unfortunately.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. An untimed Kavu that's kicked kills you very fast.
And Shahar kind of deciding, well, what am I going to end up doing with this Kavu? Am I going to attack?
Yeah, so we're gonna see the block. Shahar passes priority.
And so what Booth wants to do here is let damage happen and then end of combat cast the Gideon's Reproach, which is
what he's signifying by pushing the Skin Witch to the side.
And the reason he would do that is if he cast Reproach before damage, then Shahar could bounce the Skin Witch and then end up really getting a huge advantage.
Yeah, he wants damage to have already happened, but it looks like Shahar has something, a Syncopate, to counter it. So yeah, he's gonna Still got 2 for 1, even though doing it on damage there was nice. An Arcanist to follow up and pass back to Booth. And Booth with no ways to deal with his Untamed Kavu.
Yeah, this is working out nicely, though. This is a good turn.
So Academy Journey Mage was discarded. I can't quite see what the other one was.
Oh, in the Academy theme, also a Drake.
A Drake.
Of the sort. Though,
Those are 2 pretty good cards, but Shahar's already on the board.
had Shahar...
Look at the Arcanist just getting in there.
Had Shahar known that JT had multiple Skin Witches, he may not have played that second Arcanist, holding it for protection. Then he could have played the Academy Drake or the Journey Mage this turn.
The charge is looking kind of bad over here in Booth's hand. He would like some creatures to block with, but instead we're attacking with 2-1.
Yeah.
Lighter getting in there.
Charge and Adamant Will are not the cards you want to draw when you've drawn 7 land and only 3 creatures.
Mm-hmm. So Arcanist on Skin Witch and still taking damage from the Kavu and the other Arcanist.
And Shahar has only drawn lands as a follow-up, but he doesn't need anything else. It's on JT to draw something to get out of this. Well, Forebear's Blade, not a bad one. So JT can actually equip the Skin Witch with Forebear's Blade and then end up casting Charge to trade for the Kavu.
Mm-hmm.
And then that moves the blade onto the Glider.
Yeah, his clock does slow down significantly afterward.
He does.
The Arcanists don't get in there for that much.
And yeah, and JT even gets to attack because it gives vigilance. So now, if Shahar chooses to block, it's the same as if you block the Kavu. In fact, it's a little bit better. You don't take trample damage.
That was a really good top deck for him.
It was, and JT's really strongly representing Charge. Shahar has to decide, wow, are you really putting the card Charge into your main deck? It's the only card JT could have in this spot, but I guess Shahar's going to call.
Charge. Yeah, and this dies, but then it gets equipped onto the Glider. Kavu is dead also.
So Shahar takes 3, falling to 11. That means that Shahar's actually going to lose this raid. He attacks JT to 4, gets attacked to 7, attacks JT to 2. Oh, no. JT needs to draw 1 creature in order to win this race. Whereas Shahar, if he draws anything, he becomes very far ahead. Oh, yeah, that counts as something.
Yeah, that is big. That is a kicked Baloth Gorger.
Adamant Will would have actually let JT win the race without that. He does 5-5 and then 7, or 5 and then 7. But that Baloth Gorger and the Glider being unable to block does seal the deal.
It does seal the deal. So we're going to move on to game 2. The first game goes to Shahar Shenhar. Do either of these players get much in the form of the sideboard?
I'm taking a look. There is not a whole lot. They're both playing almost all the cards in their colors that they could be playing.
Sure.
Shahar is going to slide in a Broken Bond, though. After seeing Forebear's Blade and Glider, there's no way he's not. Meanwhile, JT Booth, yeah, not a whole lot that he's looking at bringing in.
JT Booth with a Glider. And Shahar, let's see what his 3-drop is. It's a Howling Golem. Where are you on Howling Golem?
I think the card is playable if you want a historic card or you just need to fill out your curve. It's not exciting, but if your deck is powerful like Shahar's is, you get slightly more of an advantage off drawing cards, especially if you have some good interaction.
Mm-hmm. So the Cavalry has been called. JT's going to get 2 Knights. And then we're going to see pass back to Shahar.
And this is the aggressive start JT wanted. He's missing a 2-drop, but he does have, Glider into call is a lot of power on the board, and some of it is evasive as well.
So no play from Shahar.
So when your opponent passes without a play, especially on a turn like this, you have to think, what are the cards they could have? And what comes to my mind is Blink of an Eye or a counterspell, like you already saw Syncopate. All right.
Howling Golem blocks. Both the players draw and then charge. Did he just draw that?
That would be really funny.
I think you might have. I'm not sure. Obviously, it might have not have been the case, but that is really funny if he did. All right, so Wizards retort.
And that isn't exactly what Shahar wanted to happen. Like I think he's happy enough making that trade. He kind of got a 2-for-1, or at least 1.5-for-1 there. But he was really hoping to use Wizard's Retort on a more expensive spell, which uses up a lot more of JT's turn and mana.
I mean, the Golem is all he has going on for him at the moment, so...
Teshar Ancestor's Disciple there. No targets currently in the graveyard because that Knight token is not coming back off Teshar.
So the Academy Journey Mage gets to bounce a token and actually take care of it permanently, which is nice. But
So
Shahar is dealing with some flyers. He's not at a very high life total, and he has no ways to block him currently.
Yeah, JT's getting in there with his elite squad of 2 power flyers. And
Can you really put the glider as part of the elite squad? Can you really do that?
well,
honestly?
if the glider dies, then the Ancestor's Disciple will come back.
That's true. So not enough mana to kick that Skin Witch. The Eldest Reborn. That is a nice one.
And it's especially good when you're pressuring your opponent because it's an expensive spell. You pay 5 to get their worst creature off the board if you're behind. It doesn't work all that well. But in this spot, JT's the one with the initiative, so knocking Shahar's Howling Golem into the graveyard and then threatening to bring it back later or bring back something more powerful if JT can find it.
Yeah, the Eldest Reborn only feels really bad when your opponent is playing Saprolings. A lot of times you can snipe a decently.
Yeah, that is not particularly great.
Academy Journey Mage getting in there. Cannot block either of these flyers.
This is where Shahar really needs like a Mammoth Spider. Though,
Does he have any?
I spot a Vicious Offering in JT's hand, so he's ready for almost anything Shahar could play. Taking a look at Shahar's deck, he does not have any Mammoth Spiders.
Oh.
Though
But Zahid, Jinn of the Lamp, is a good blocker against the elite squad, as you call them.
That's a slightly bigger Mammoth Spider. I'll take that. So now the Eldest Reborn is going to tick up here, and you're actually not allowed to forget that. So.
Yeah, so it hasn't ticked up yet.
But it is after a draw step, so. Well,
oh, okay. Well, this is a time walk match, which means that it is pre-recorded, so we cannot actually.
But it is actually Shahar's responsibility as well to tick that up.
No,
so
what I'm saying is we can't do anything here from the booth because usually we can call down to the match and
correct.
have the judges know.
So we can't stop that. I'm assuming Shahar missed that as well because perhaps did not know it was his responsibility. But you are obliged to say something.
So combination of the Will and the Vicious Offering is going to take down Zahid.
Yeah, it's a 4/4 now fighting against a 3/4. And that Reborn should be in position to reanimate Zahid next turn.
That's brutal. And they still haven't noticed.
Now they've noticed it.
Oh, now they've noticed it. Okay, so we're probably going to see some sort of judge call.
Yeah. Well,
it's unfortunately really late for when this trigger has been missed.
Yeah, a combat's happened and multiple spells have been played, but we'll see what ends up happening. Since first of all, this is in the past, we cannot change it.
So you don't want to time travel? We could go fix this.
Yeah, there's other things I would fix instead. But second of all, the judges will handle this. So we'll find out in a second whether the Reborn ticks up or it does not.
I do really like the change of having it be both players' responsibility to take care of that. I think that was a very positive change.
I think it's good. I mean, I like when I out-strategize my opponent, when I tactically defeat them by making better decisions. I don't like it when I win based on my opponent misclicking.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And that is one of the nice things about Magic Online, right? Like, the stuff like this just is never missed.
And it looks like enough has
enough
occurred.
time has elapsed that I think this is a missed trigger.
And it'll happen next turn, but I believe both players will get warnings.
Oh, let me see. I have updates on this from the past, actually. Yes, the Saga tick-up was missed, so they're just continuing on, and this table got a 2-minute time extension afterward. That is how that resolved.
So, Shahar, under the current game state, still is in a bit of trouble because he's facing down 4 power with the Flyers while at 8 life. And we'll see if he can find his way out of this.
What does Shahar have in hand? Now that he doesn't have that Jin, he has no way to block things. He's just at 8.
Shahar has a couple Flyers in his deck. He also has the Academy Drake we saw game 1. And so, yeah, he has a couple, as in 2. The other one being the Zahid Jin of the Lamp.
Oh, but he does have a Pierce the Sky, it looks like.
Oh, that will help a lot. Pierce the Sky can take out Teshar, which will open the door. Though, now that Shahar knows that that Jin is coming, you know, off the Eldest Reborn, he may need to save the Pierce the Sky. He just might not have enough time to do so.
He is going to fire off that Divination. Land, and let's see what he can follow up with. Attacking with the Journey Mage. This drops JT down to 12.
And Shahar may end up just playing something like a Baloth this turn and trying to race, but it's going to be tough.
It is really difficult to race the Eldest Reborn. That card is amazing. Especially when your cards are good too. Like that's a Heat in the graveyard.
Oh, Shahar has a Broken Bond in hand, the one he sideboarded in. So he's going to be able to take out Eldest Reborn here. And in fact, as it turns out, he's not going to have to discard to it ever.
Max punishment for missing that.
Though, given that Shahar has a lot of cards in his hand, I think that ultimately that the missed trigger did not end up affecting him all that much.
It was just the difference of discarding one.
Yes, the Zahid never would have gotten reanimated.
All right, so JT Booth down to just the glider.
Yeah, and things have gotten a lot worse for him now. His Eldest Reborn and his Teshar, both hit the graveyard. Those were his 2 biggest threats.
So a kicked Skin Witch. And I think Shahar does have a couple of lands in hand, so it should not be that big of a deal.
Though this is adding up to, maybe the missed trigger actually would have impacted Shahar now that he's discarding another 2 cards. Note also that Shahar chose not to play an extra land after casting Broken Bond because of Caligo Skin Witch. He saw 2 in game 1.
That's true. To be fair, I feel like Broken Bond is usually just remove an enchantment. Like,
yeah.
You rarely ever see the second part of it come up. All right, so Shahar at 8, JT Booth at 12. And JT has some creatures to block with now. Not a favorable trade or anything, but he could if he wanted to.
Now, Shahar's done some good work here, but he still is dying to this. Whoop, never mind.
Wow, getting that Zahid back? Very nice.
Yeah, you don't expect too much recursion in blue-green, but I guess Shahar did get there. He used Nature Spiral to get back that Zahid.
So there's the Forge Bearer's Blade and enough mana to equip the Glider.
So this is... Shahar has the initiative. It's a bit of an impasse depending on what Shahar has, because Zahid is keeping back the Glider, but Shahar could win the race if he has another blocker here, because as things currently stand, if Shahar has just lands in hand, he could attack, and JT just takes it all, goes down to 1, and then attacks back for 6. So looks like Shahar is not looking to advance his board here.
Yeah, we're seeing the chump block with a Witch. Another Glider from JT.
Is that a right of...
It is...
or a Blessing of Belzenlock in JT's hand?
The glider, and I think it is a blessing, by the way.
Oh, yeah. This attack certainly indicates that. Drawing that second glider was really good for JT. Shahar is in a really tough spot. If he doesn't block, he dies to blessing. If he does block, he loses the heat.
This is a tough spot because you kind of have to block, right? And it is a blessing of Belzenlog. +2/+1, and
Yep. What does that card do? So it is +2/+1, and
if it's a legendary creature, it gets lifelink on the turn.
Yeah.
Wow.
And critically, Shahar also takes a point of trample damage, falling to 5. The Aether Glider is lethal, and Shahar now has to draw something, and he didn't.
Wow.
The Forebear's Blade top deck did the trick.
Thank you, Belzenlog. That is wild, and he takes the game. It was the difference of the blessing of Belzenlog. All right, so we're skipping a little bit further into future because we want to fit this all within our time round. We're moving into turn 3. This is a Davenant Trapper from JT Booth.
Shahar on mono divination control here, but getting tons of options.
All white lands for Booth. The Trapper gets in for 3.
Oh wow, this is
This is a good start.
Yeah, and I spy a Juggernaut in JT's hand.
Yeah, I do see it.
So next turn, he's going to be able to play Juggernaut, use Trapper, tap down whatever Shahar plays, crash in for 7, and have 12 power on the board. So Divination, a good card in this format, but if you're casting Divinations...
Divination into Divinations? Okay,
yeah.
So the Academy Journey Mage does take care of one of those permanently.
And that does help. Without that, I think Shahar would have almost no chance this game. But it's still going to be pretty tough because JT has a lot of good options.
Yeah, and he has more than... he also has the Glider. So he will be able to be tapping a couple of Shahar's things. Yeah, Juggernaut, tap you, bash. Get in there for 5.
Yeah, and this is how the white-black historic decks really want to operate. Trapper is really powerful. If you can play Trapper and have her not die, she can lock down your opponent really quickly. Shahar does have Tatyova in hand and Zahid, so Shahar has a really powerful hand himself.
He just needs a little bit of time to deploy all this.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all develops. And one of the weaknesses of blue-green is doesn't really have spot removal, so that Trapper is going to sit and play doing her thing for the foreseeable future.
So let's see what Shahar wants to do this turn. He's at a point where he wants to be casting 2 spells a turn, given what's going on the board. But his hand is expensive, so yeah, he's just opting for that Tatyova and a land to follow up, which will gain him 1 life and will draw him 1 card.
Yeah, I do think JT is going to have like Vicious Offering or Journey Mage, Glider, tap Tatyova, attack for 10. That's one of his options with what he has in hand already.
Yeah, and Shahar's at 13.
Oh man, Forebear's Blade, that is going to be really problematic for Shahar.
Yeah, he's kicking it off with a Glider.
Oh, it looks like he might be interested in using Vicious Offering if Tatyova blocks.
To kill Tatyova. I mean, this is telegraphed if you've ever seen it, right?
And it's really tough for Shahar because he knows that JT both has Adamant Will and Blessing of Belzenlog and Vicious Offering, so there's a lot of ways all of this goes wrong.
But you're also taking so much damage. You can't just sit here and at 13 and be like, yeah, everyone gets in.
I think Shahar's best block is actually on the Juggernaut because that prompts a trick and it prevents the most damage. You could just take 10, go to 3, and then next turn gain another life off Tatyova and have a trick up. It looks like Shahar has a Befuddle in hand, so...
That's pretty scary against the Davenant Trapper, though.
It really is, and I think that Shahar's in a lot of trouble no matter what here, but he may get the most mileage out of trying to block Juggernaut this turn. You could also play as if your opponent is just not going to have another trigger on Davenant Trapper. It might be a situation where you just assume, hey, you know what? I can't beat the Trapper triggering again, so I'm just gonna take it.
I mean, you've seen at least 2 Gliders. You know
about the Forebear's Blade.
About the Forebear's Blade. It is an uphill battle for sure. All right, so Tatyova's jumping in front of the knight, which is going to prompt the Vicious Offering. Tatyova's dead. Shahar's taking quite a bit.
I think of the available blocks, that was the one that would appeal to me the least.
You like the Jug, right?
The only drawback to blocking Juggernaut is Blessing of Belzenlock blows you out.
Yeah, I mean, there is an argument to say that JT Booth is pretty far ahead. He's just going to be attacking with everyone, and if you throw away a knight in that exchange, it was worth it. So maybe if that does let him keep the Tatyova, I can see the argument for that, but it obviously did not work out. We knew about the Vicious Offering.
Yeah, it is also tough because we do know about Vicious Offering, so we have. It's hard.
That's what I mean. We see it from above, right? And
it's hard to unknow that. Even if I do try to put myself in the position of what would I do if I didn't know about that, and the answer is make the right play every time. Well, you know what they say: those who can't play commentate. So Shahar.
Yeah, we know he has the Tahid Jinn of the Lamp in hand. No more Tatyova, so no more good life gain either.
And Shahar really not in a position to be able to deploy too many threats. That Trapper has been an all-star for JT Booth this game. Shahar still deciding he could play. This might be a spot where you play an unkicked Kavu here. There is a chance because in order to deploy multiple spells in a turn, you might have to use some of your cards a little less efficiently than you would otherwise.
Tough spot. I do like Shahar's deck quite a bit. I think he's got some really powerful things going.
I like it. I think that it's a few cards short of where he would want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's great, but I do think it has a lot of really powerful cards.
Like, he has Zahid, but he only has one artifact, even though Zahid's a great card no matter what.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even... Getting Zahid for the cheap price is not even, like, something I'm too concerned about, though. Untamed Kavu Kicked is a good blocker.
And Shahar has Wizard's Retort up thanks to the Journey Mage, but, I mean, JT's just going to trigger this Trapper, attack with everything, and that'll basically do it. JT has Adamant Will also. Like, Shahar's taking 7 without a trick here.
Yeah, and JT Booth takes the match here in round 10 at GP Las Vegas. He improves to 9-1. Very good start for him. Hello, welcome back to the booth. Yeah, it was hard. It felt like Shahar was behind the entire game, and he needed... I don't know, to deploy 2 spells a turn probably to catch up, and then the Davenant Trapper didn't help things.
Yeah, and if the game actually went on for any more length, the Forebear's Blade would be a lot harder for Shahar to deal with as well, because you start jamming that on Knight tokens, and then it's just you're trading off, taking 2 damage, it goes on to like something else, and it's going to be really hard.
For sure. We do have more Magic coming. Let's go take a look. So we have Eliezer Celestina versus Caleb Myers.
Caleb rocking the Mirage Basics, it looks like.
I like it. I like when people bring their own lands. I think it's a cool way of self-expression. Do we have a deck list for these players? Do we know what they're playing?
I do not believe we have these deck lists, no.
Well, Spore Crown Thallid for Caleb Myers and Voltaic Servant for Eliezer Celestino.
Never mind, I found them
do have deck lists.
in the stack of my important papers that I shuffle around.
Oh, you mean like the modern papers? You said the modern deck list?
Yes.
Llanowar Envoy to follow up with Caleb.
Ooh, Eliezer with the 5 Forest, 7 Mountain, 5 Swamp mana base.
We've been seeing some nice mana bases.
Yeah, there's some Jund being drafted here. And I think that's emblematic of how powerful Dominaria is, where you're just pulled a lot of different directions. But, you have like a Skittering Surveyor, and that really does help stretch your mana base just a little bit.
Yeah, so Eliezer with the Jund firing off this Yavimaya Sap Herd.
Yep, but he's got the Compass ready to go, too.
Oh, he does. Llanowar Envoy hitting the red zone.
On the other side of the table, we have Caleb Myers on straight red-green. Looks like a Thallid ramp deck. He's even got like Steel Leaf Champion in his deck.
Ooh.
that Spore Crown Thallid we already see in play, plus a couple ways to make Thallids.
That's the Steel Leaf Champion that Alex didn't take.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, because it's the same pod. Well, we're going to see a triple block on Llanowar Envoy.
And then the red for Shivan Fire, Goblin Barrage, and Two-Headed Giant.
Ancient Animus.
So this is trading 2 for 3 because the Animus takes out the Servant, and then
we're going to see it trades with those two. All right, so board is basically clear after that.
2 for 3 in terms of creatures on board, but 2 for 2 in terms of just cardboard.
Yeah, I mean, you're down a card with Ancient Animus. This is kind of a lonely Omnivore.
And that trade last turn looks pretty good once the Omnivore hits the board.
Oh, but Goblin Barrage is going to take care of it. How many synergies does Caleb have for the Spore Crown Thallid?
It's got Spore Swarm and
Oh, that's nice.
Yavimaya Sapherd. But that is about it. So it's actually a little light on the Saproling makers.
I mean, it's still a solid 2-drop.
Yeah, you're still pretty happy with it. It also does pump like the actual Sapherd itself because it gives your Thallid and your Fungus plus +1.
The first time I got gotten by that, it was pretty impressive. It's like, wait, this is a fungus? So Elazar opts for a mountain with that Skittering Surveyor.
Yeah, and he really did not tap his lands well because he's got a fungal infection in hand.
Yeah.
And it would be perfect to make the Spore Crown Thallid a 1/1 and then block
Small
with
enough to block with a Skittering Surveyor, but at this point he has tapped his lands and he has already gotten a mountain. Yeah, that did not work out great.
And he accidentally cut his own deck, which we've seen some players do, just out of instinct.
We've seen that, like, cut your deck and then shuffle again to recut.
Whoa.
Oh, Rada.
Grand Warlord Rada, which is even more punishing now that Elazar is not going to be able to use Fungal Infection to take down that Spore Crown Thallid.
Yeah, this would have been a really nice turn to do that. And this is also going to generate Caleb some mana after. Does he have anything to use it on?
He does.
Corrosive Ooze. Does he have anything in his hand that could really use all the mana that Rada generates?
He's got Thorn Elemental in his deck. I don't know what's in his hand besides a Skizzik. Skizzik would actually, and a Mammoth Spider. Skizzik post-combat's not really where you want to be, but post-combat Mammoth Spider sounds pretty good.
So Mammoth Spider hits the board.
Oh, there is a Thorn Elemental. So Caleb's in an interesting spot. If he attacks with all 3 of his creatures, he gets to cast a Thorn Elemental. But the downside is that Mammoth Spider gets to eat one of the 2/2s. I like this attack, though.
Yep, and they're going to be using this to represent the mana that is generated.
Yeah, 1 purple mana and 2 white mana.
Mm-hmm. Delicious purple mana.
So I think he's representing 1 red mana and 2 green mana.
No, he's not. Why would you even say that? That doesn't make any sense.
Just to sow discord and confusion, much like I normally do.
That is true. So Elazar is tapped out.
Elazar could
no fungal infection for this turn.
Elazar could also double block Rada with the Surveyor and the Mammoth Spider, and that would work out the best for him, but that does play into a trick a little bit more aggressively, so he may be worried that Caleb's got something up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, this is the world's most suspicious attack. But you could think that he is also doing it for the mana. Like, that is something you could arrive at.
And it's the sort of thing where you get a lot more information once you've seen the player play out their deck more. Like, so in something like in Game 3, you might think, okay, he just wants to cast Thorn Elemental, I should just block Rada.
Right.
In Game 1, you're like, maybe he has a combat trick, maybe I shouldn't block here.
I mean, I think in this situation, I would probably think it's a combat trick, but he's going to find out immediately. that it's not. It's actually just a big creature.
Well, the thing is, some of the combat tricks don't even work if you block a 2/2, like Gift of Growth, for example. So my inclination is just to double block Rada, and yeah, I like this play from Elazar.
All right, so Rada is down.
And then we got some lands in the red zone. We'll get those.
Yeah, those were just being used to represent the amount of mana that's floating. But now tapping all of it. 7/4 Thorn Elemental.
And this is going to be a really big threat. Elazar's at 9. Thorn Elemental does 7. Next turn, Caleb can just play an unkicked Skizik and just get in with everything.
I mean, it matters that Thorn Elemental also has, like, super trample.
Yeah, basically, Elazar needs multiple creatures in order to not die to Thorn Elemental, Skizik, and the 2/2/2s. And even then, without taking down Thorn Elemental, it's just dead in the turn after to the Thorn Elemental itself. Elazar also stuck on 5 lands. Even with that Surveyor, never found another land here.
This isn't great. Oh, he does have that Sylvan Awakening. This is where the Sylvan Awakening ended up.
Yeah, and this is where Sylvan Awakening really shines. Keldon Raider and Sylvan Awakening are a really good combo.
He's just pitching the Chronicler.
That Fungal Infection will help a little bit here. But, again, Skizik. So Skizik comes down. Spider blocks Skizik. Keldon Raider blocks 2/2. Fungal Infection blocks the other 1/1. Elazar goes to 2, loses all of his creatures except Keldon Raider, and still has to face down that Thorn Elemental. So this is going to be pretty hard for Elazar to come back from, but he's not dead quite this turn.
Yeah, and these blocks are looking dire.
He's going to want to cast...
Mammoth Spider in front of Skizik. Yep, and that's just enough. And Elazar is down a game. All right, so next game. Blood Tallow Candle for Elazar. Caleb Myers was just a land.
Blood Tallow Candle is fine. I mean, it can kill something large. I'm also happy when my opponent...
multiple spiders and stuff from it. You love it when your opponent plays it.
Oh, when they play a Candle on turn 1, it just feels like they're down a card for most of the game until finally they spend a whole turn's worth of mana to kill one of my creatures. So I've played the Candle many times. I'll continue to play it. Like I said, it's a fine card.
Yeah, it feels like it's just okay.
It's just not great. Fervent Strike there from Elazar, ready to... He's got some combat tricks, but he's got...
Well, he's got a lot of black creatures that he can't deploy.
Yeah, and that's going to be problematic.
This is a really awkward draw. Llanowar Envoy from Caleb.
Junda has some drawbacks.
Really needs to draw a swamp here.
Yeah, it's funny when you're in the spot.
No, it's a forest.
You're like, I'll take swamps because I can play my black spells. I'll take red or green spells because I can just cast those. But drawing black cards or combat tricks are really not where you want to be. Or in this case,
horrible.
Equipment.
Yeah, just jousting lands. No creatures. Caleb, in the meantime, is Territorial Allosaurus.
And unkicked, but it'll get the job done. And when your opponent is stuck on only 2 colors worth of lands, doesn't have their third color that you saw, there is some pressure to get the game over quickly.
Sometimes you just want 4 mana 5/5. It looks great on this board.
I always want 4 mana 5/5. That card's great.
Elazar is able to find that swamp, but is it a little too late? What's the best thing he can deploy?
Looks like a Thallid Omnivore, which really doesn't block either. At that point, you might as well play a Deathspore Thallid because it can trade for the Envoy and get some value. This also preemptively stops Caleb from getting a whole lot of value out of a Skizik.
All right, so Deathbloom Thallid hits the board. Probably ready to block that Envoy.
And there is that Skizik in hand. So let's say Caleb does play the Skizik. It trades for the Deathbloom Thallid, tramples over for 3, plus another 8, that's 11, puts Elazar to 6 and has a 1/1 token. It's not bad, but I guess Caleb's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, he seems like he doesn't want to deploy it here. Oh, he's not even sending the Llanowar Envoy. So he's not giving Elazar any chance for profitable blocks. He's just taking it. What do you think about this?
I like it. If you think this trade's going to not be all that good for you, you might as well just wait a turn and not offer it yet, because it's not like you get extra damage through by attacking with the Envoy.
So Llanowar Elves is a follow-up, and does he have anything else at instant speed, or was that just a whole turn?
He's got Ancient Animus, so he might be in a position to fight something. Elazar does have Fervent Strike, though, +1/+0 first strike, and actually Haste, which comes up every now and then. So that could lead to a pretty big blowout, depending on how this game plays out. Oh, this is not going to work out well for Elazar.
No, he is responding when equipping is happening, and yes, Ancient Animus to fight the Thallid. Oh, and that is a blowout.
And Elazar gets a Saproling token, but Ancient Animus traded for 6 of Elazar's mana. He had 3 on the Deathbloom Thallid and 3 on the equip.
That was a really bad turn of events for Elazar.
And his hand is now full of cards he can't cast, and Caleb's going to kick a Skizik and just attack for 9 points of damage after you trump Allosaurus. This is going to be almost impossible.
The no attack from the Llanowar Envoy is really paying off.
Yeah, that worked out quite nicely.
Yeah, now Skizik going to hit the board. And everybody in there, even the Llanowar Elves, they ain't scared of no Saproling.
Technically, Elazar could block the Envoy, cast Fervent Strike, first strike down the Envoy, take 11 falling to 1, but I don't really know what his path out is past that.
It looks like that's what he's considering, because he's floating it real close to the Envoy.
Maybe it's
You're just so far behind, then you have to deal with the Allosaurus, then you have to deal with Skizik.
Elazar does have a Fungal Infection.
Sure, so Fungal Infection takes down the Elf. He gets another one. One is going to chump the Allosaurus. The other one's going to get in front of the Envoy, and now the Fervent Strike is going to make it into a trade. So that went relatively okay, but he's so far behind still.
Yeah, and Elazar ends up even keeping the Saproling thanks to first strike. So Elazar's at 7, facing down 2 5-power creatures, and well, he's not dead yet. That Fungal Infection did some good work.
Yeah, it was clutch. So Sylvan Awakening in hand. What else do you have, Elazar?
Elazar did draw a Skittering Surveyor, so now he's got the option of Surveyoring, playing another land, equipping Jousting Lands, which keeps back Skizik, and then you chump the Allosaurus with your 1/1, setting up the Blood Tallow Candle next turn on that. Elazar actually, thanks to that Fungal Infection, could stabilize here.
It feels like he's doing a good job trying to get back in this game, because for a second there, the doors were closing in on him.
Those are deciding what to equip here with the lance. On the other hand, Caleb is one good draw step away from running away with the game. He is ahead, so he is pressing Elazar pretty hard here.
All right, so the lance is going to go on the Surveyor. Then we're going to see a pass back to Caleb.
And Skizik still will trample over for some damage here. Less because the lance went on the 2 toughness creature, but it's best you can do if you're in Elazar spot.
4 mana for a Phoenix? All right, everyone's getting in there.
Wow, Warcry Phoenix is really good because now after these trades happen, Elazar falls down to 2 life, which means the Warcry Phoenix is lethal next turn, and that will put Elazar in a really tough spot where he has to deal with the Phoenix before the Allosaurus and still needs to put something into play that chumps the Allosaurus.
That was a good draw if that is what he drew for the turn. Warcry Phoenix is not a card we've seen very much of. People are pretty low on it. Where are you on it?
It's not great. It's good in aggressive red decks that don't have other 4s, but I think it's worse than most of the other 4s, so you just don't end up seeing it all that often. Because the ability to bring it back with 3 attackers is just not a very commonly used one.
Yeah,
which
I
means
think
it's 4 mana 2/2 flying haste.
I think I heard Ben Ness say, somebody asked Ben Ness why he didn't like the Warcry Phoenix, and he said, well, the reminder text on "you are winning the game" is not very helpful.
Yes, that is a surprisingly succinct way of saying things from Ben. Elazar can delay death by a turn by casting Sylvan Awakening, but that's all it will really do.
Yeah, it does give the lands reach. But that would just be a delay, and Caleb Myers goes on to take this match here at round 10 at GP Las Vegas. He improves to 9-1, which is an amazing run.
Yeah, and his deck looks pretty solid, just kind of like red-green mid-range, with some aggressive creatures, Skizik and Grand Warlord Rada, so
Yeah,
I think he's got good prospects.
I like Delazar's deck. It did seem like the mana problems caught up to him, one of the downsides of Jund. But we have a lot more Magic coming your way, so don't go anywhere. We will be back after these messages.